What is going on, Raptors Nation? It is Luca here back with another video. Hope you're all doing well. In this one, I thought I would talk about the Raptors and where they stand through the first 20 games of the season. If y'all can do me a solid, drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more Raptors content just like this. All right, so the Raptors, 20 games in the books just like that. They are 5-15. They got the fifth worst record in all of the NBA. They are 4-4 at home, which is very respectable, but 1-11 on the road. The Raptors, they have played 12 road games, which is tied for the most in the NBA. But luckily for them, 8 of their next 9 games could be at home. So the Raptors' next 5 are in Toronto, starting this Sunday against the Miami Heat. And it could be 6 straight at home, depending on a pair of still to be determined games for teams eliminated from the NBA Cup. So this could be a super long homestand for the Toronto Raptors, which will certainly help out considering they are a 500 team at home to this point. So what do we know to this point? I mean, Scottie Barnes, he is back. He returned from that orbital fracture. He's rocking the goggles, but he is looking like his old all-star self. He is coming off a beauty of a triple-double performance against the Heat. Barnes is now second all-time in most triple-doubles in Raptors franchise history with 6, just behind Kyle Lowry, who's got 16. It seems like Barnes is going to break that in no time. So it's great to have Barnes back. He's starting to hit his stride again. Grady Dick has been sidelined with a calf contusion. Bruce Brown has been out as he continues to recover from his offseason knee surgery. It was reported that we were going to see Brown make his season debut at some point during this road trip, but that obviously didn't happen, so hopefully Brown is back soon. Kelly Olynyk remains sidelined with a back issue. He has not played at all this season. And then Emmanuel Quickley, he has suffered the biggest setback. I mean, Quickley, he came back, then he got re-injured again, this time his elbow, and he's not expected to be ready to return to action until mid-December at the earliest. That is per TSN's Josh Lewinberg. So Emmanuel Quickley has definitely had a rough little patch here. Hopefully he can come back and just play healthy basketball from there on out. So my early assessment on this Raptors team, guys, is they've been fun. They've been entertaining. They have put themselves in a good position early to be a bottom 5 team. But you see clear signs that this team is going to start to win, probably separate themselves from the bottom 5 with their schedule easing up and guys getting healthy. However, there has been a lot of bad with this Raptors team. And when I look at them as a whole, it comes down to their outside shot making has not been good. And you can blame this on injuries, you can blame this on roster construction, but the reality is, if the Raptors want to be a major player in today's NBA and compete for wins, they got to adapt with the times. I said this on X. The Raptors need to take more threes. The Miami Heat simply won that game because they took more threes. Their three-point shooting percentages were similar. I know the Raptors took a lot less threes, but Miami just kept firing away. The Raptors gotta become a team that takes and makes more threes going forward. And you look at these numbers, it tells you why the Raptors have not been amongst the best teams to begin the season. Again, injuries and all that aside. The Raptors are last in three-point attempts in the league. They are 23rd in three-point percentage. And then you look at some other stats here, 21st in offensive rating, 28th in free throw percentage. That is simply unacceptable. 22nd in defensive rating. However, the Raptors, they have been a better defensive team lately. They entered the game against Miami 7th in defensive rating over the last 10 games, so hopefully that continues to trend up for this team. But 24th in effective field goal percentage, and they are 4th in turnovers. So turnovers, another big reason why the Raptors did not pick up that win in Miami. But you look at these numbers, it tells me the Raptors, they need better outside shot making. Now you can say, okay, Luca, like, this is without Emmanuel Quickley, Grady Dick, Kelly Olynyk, even Bruce Brown. And when you add Emmanuel Quickley, he's at least good enough to taking like 8 to 10 threes a game. He's certainly going to get that number up. Grady Dick, this team sharpshooter, going to get that number up, and Olynyk. So once this team is healthy, you would think the Raptors are going to take more threes and hopefully hit more threes, and that percentage can start going up. But also, you got to talk about roster construction, because where the league is headed, the Raptors need shot makers. The Raptors need perimeter shooters. You look at the best teams in the league, the Boston Celtics being the prime example. This team is like taking 53s a game. It's crazy how the Celtics operate and how they are just imposing their will beyond the three-point line. I know they make it at a higher rate, so it justifies them shooting threes, but again, it goes down to roster construction. They got guys who can make outside shots. So the Raptors hopefully can look to be a better three-point shooting team and make more outside shots when they get fully healthy, but those numbers suggest that, yeah, they're definitely not keeping up with the times, and if this team wants to be successful in the grand scheme of things, they're going to have to become a better three-point shooting team, and that is obviously something the Raptors haven't been over the last few seasons. And with the NBA going to an unprecedented time here where we are seeing three-pointers shot like never before, they're going to have to adapt or they will perish. It's as simple as that. But outside of that, there have been some good stats on the Raptors side that I want to pinpoint here. They've been first in fast break points, so doing a great job of pushing. Second in offensive rebounds. That's in large part to Yak, who's been phenomenal on the offensive glass. He is first in offensive rebounds. Yak is. The Raptors are fourth in rebounds in total and sixth in assists, so they have been doing a good job sharing the basketball. Now let's turn our attention to the good, the bad, and the plan. So you look at the good from the first 20 games. I think player development has been very solid. You look at what we are seeing from some of these players. You are seeing progress being made. You know, besides Scottie being back and looking like what he was last season, you got to be pleased with what we saw from Grady Dick before he went sideline. Drastic improvement with just his overall production, his points per game. Abaji, the way he's been able to shoot it as well as he has been, he's been putting up nice numbers. Even RJ, I know with RJ it's frustrating because defensively, he has lapses, and I don't like how he forces the offense, but overall, he is still putting up his best numbers, and he is coming off a nice game against the Heat, so he has still been making positive progress, which is what you want to see. And, you know, player development has been at the forefront here, and we are seeing guys get better, so that's something that has gone really well for this team. You look at the bad, like I said, outside shooting, turnovers have been a big issue. Poor execution and stretches late in games, like that third quarter against Miami was a disaster. Darko didn't make the proper adjustments. You saw he got outcoached by Spo, who made the in-game adjustments, and that game got out of hand just beyond the three-point shooting as well. And then the plan. I mean, what should the Raptors do from here on out? I still think the Raptors' plan and their goal should be to put themselves in the best position to score a top 5 pick in the draft. Now, you can make the argument this team is simply going to be too good to completely bottom out. However, the Raptors, it would be in their best interest to not push for it per se. This is a team that would benefit of getting another blue chip prospect, especially to the amount of talented players they already have. So I think that should definitely be the focus. I know it's fun that the Raptors have looked better. They have picked up some wins, but overall, you look at the grand scheme of things, it would be in this team's best interest to play the draft game and secure a top pick. We'll see how this team looks when everybody comes back. But yeah, the next little bit's going to tell a lot because they got a lot of home games. If they completely ace this thing, that might change the tune. But if the Raptors lose a bunch of these home games, that's just going to solidify the fact that the Raptors need to have their sights set on being a bottom team for the season. Okay, let's talk about the best Raptor to this point. I think it's safe to say it's been Scottie Barnes. You can make a case for other guys, but I think overall it has been Barnes. I know he's only played in 9 games this season, but he has just been unbelievable. I mean, we see how much better of a team the Raptors are with Scottie Barnes in the mix. He's just that hub. He just creates offense. You know, I know his turnovers are up at times, but just a tremendous passer. We saw a couple of highlight reel assists in that game against the Heat. You know, able to crash the glass, 24 points. He's been shooting it, I would say, decently. 3-pointers have been low this season, so that's been the only knock. Hopefully, Scottie Barnes can kind of get it going from 3 again. We saw him make a big improvement in that department last season, but so far this season, he's only 26% from deep. But he's averaging 20.4 points, 8.6 rebounds, and 6.8 assists. So those have been great numbers, 1.6 steals. You can't ask for more if you are on the Scottie Barnes hype train. Okay, next, most surprising Raptor. This was an interesting one. You could have gone in many ways. Grady Dick is probably a popular answer, but I'm actually going to go with Abaji. Abaji came into this season pretty much with his last chance. Like, he had to produce or else this guy was probably going to be out of the league. Like, this was going to be Abazi's opportunity to either take it or drop it. And he has been doing a solid job to this point. I was ready to give up on him. I practically did during Summer League. But when you look at Abaji, 12.2 points per game. He's shooting at 53.9% from the field, 47.6% from three. Like, you can't ask for more, really. He has been such a revelation for this team. 4.5 rebounds, 2 assists. The Raptors were hoping this dude can turn into that 3-and-D type of mold, and he has certainly looked the part of that this season compared to seasons past. So I think he has most definitely been the most surprising Raptor in a good way. So shout out to Abaji. He has really done a good job overall this season, and wait for him to respond after that terrible performance on Monday night in Detroit. Comes right back with a really nice performance against the Pelicans on Wednesday. And then I'm going to end here. The Raptor I'm most intrigued by, I'm going to say Jacoby Walter. He's got such a knack and good feel for the game. And I was really impressed with what I saw from him in that Friday game. I know he had that costly late turnover where he tried to dribble to the basket and the ball went out of bounds, but he had a couple of lockdown defensive possessions. I mean, he forced Duncan Robinson to the shot clock violation. This is a dude that once he starts hitting that three ball with consistency, that outside shot with consistency, like you can see, he's got that 3-and-D mold, and his hustle is there. The hard work is there. The defense, too, that he played on Rozier late in the fourth was really good. And I like the fact that the Raptors did keep him on the floor late in the fourth quarter. They had gained those valuable reps in crunch time. Although he made that costly turnover, Jacoby's still raw. Like, this was his second career start. He just came back into the mix. So I think Jacoby, he can really turn into something nice here for the Toronto Raptors. But overall, guys, I mean, you look at this team to this point, there have been a lot of positive takeaways despite them being a brutal 5-15, but you still got to kind of look at this team's flaws. There are areas that they got to get better in, and ultimately, this does look like a season that is more likely going to trend towards this team being in the bottom compared to maybe being in one of those playing positions. Again, still a long way to go. Things can change. But that's just a feel I get where this Raptors team is going to be on the outside looking in. But hey, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I just said a minute ago, their plan should be the draft. And if this team can continue to be fun to watch, show you a lot of good things, and we see player development on full display, and it results in this team getting a good draft pick by the end of it, I think that's a successful season when it's all said and done. So let me know your thoughts, guys, when it comes to this Raptors team through their first 20 games of the season. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will catch you all again in the next one.